Greetings and welcome to Outlaw Gamer Radio, the official podcast of OutlawGamers.com. This is the show where we live to play and play to live. I'm Brent Adams, joined by a man who thinks the handsome collection happens whenever he looks into two or more mirrors at the same time, Mr. Lauren Baumgarten. Lauren!
That is a true story, my friend. And it's not that I think that that's what the handsome collection is. That is actually what the handsome collection is.
The handsome collection is. Welcome back, man. A day late, $1 short. I actually, I'd love to know the origin of that phrase, because as I just said it out loud, I realized that I don't really understand what the dollar short is.
Is that a Jewish joke, Brent? Is that a Jewish joke?
No, you'll know when I tell a Jewish joke. Because it'll end with me screaming a Jew, or I don't know. Actually, I really don't know any good Jewish jokes. You probably know more good Jewish jokes than I do.
Oh, there's no question I do, but I can't tell them on the air because they are not appropriate for mixed company.
No, they're not. So what is appropriate for mixed company, my man, is the garage, and we've got a plethora, a veritable piñata of trailers and news stories to go over, and I propose we kick off right now with some of the most exciting news in recent memory, and that is your friend and mine, Ernest Cline, author of the excellent Ready Player One, and hopefully soon to be a fucking film adaptation if everything stays on track.
Hopefully,
this time.
yes.
But we've got some news. Ernie's in the news this week. We found out that he's made a publishing deal, a 7-book publishing deal with one of Random House's subsidiaries, Crown Publishing,
yep.
I think. Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, we know that the title of his next novel is going to be Armada, and that the vague description is a, quote, high concept premise that caters to video game fans, end quote. Now, what we don't know is whether or not this news ties in any way to the news that Zach Penn, who is the screenwriter of the Ready Player One film adaptation, there's no word on whether or not Zach Penn and what he had to say this week, which was that Ernie was working on, wait for it, a second Ready Player One novel. We don't know if that and Armada are one and the same, or if we're talking about two separate books. We really don't know yet. But anyway, just some cool news from the world of Ernest Cline and Ready Player One this week.
Yeah, you had actually pointed out, Brent, the Zach Penn news, and I went to find the article and put it on the docket and found this article and didn't actually realize that it was two separate articles. That Armada, I thought the Armada article was a sort of a fleshing out of what Zach Penn wrote, and
truthfully, it may be.
It could be, yes.
It's very possible that these are one and the same, as that the Zach Penn novel, or the novel Zach Penn was talking about, is Armada. There's not been confirmation of that yet.
Right. We don't know exactly what's going on, but Brent, the real takeaway here and the good news for all of this is that Ernie is writing, and whether it's a sequel to Ready Player One, which would be absolutely awesome, and I would not be at all surprised, or if it's another book or both, would be fantastic. And I'm just so excited to, yeah, absolutely. I'm just so excited to
either way.
I'm just so excited to see Ernie in the news and to hear that he's still writing, and I would anxiously await his next project, because Ready Player One, of course, was a fantastic book.
It was. Here's my only problem. My only problem is, if Armada is not a second Ready Player One novel, then how do you justify Will Wheaton doing the audiobook? Because Will Wheaton has to do the audiobook. You know what I'm saying?
He can do it, though. I mean, that's what he does. He can do it. He doesn't have to be Parzival to be good.
True enough. All right. So moving on, and of course, this is the reference to Lauren at the top of the show. Borderlands, the Handsome Collection, has been announced for PS4 and Xbox One. Lauren, would you kindly run through those details?
Yeah, I would be happy to. So this is a bit of a surprise to me, Brent. I don't know if this was a surprise to you. I mean, I'm not shocked that this happened eventually. I just didn't know they were actually working on it, and for them to announce it and it's coming out in just a couple months is fantastic news. It's Borderlands: The Handsome Collection. Excuse me. It is for PS4 and Xbox One, and it is essentially it's a combination. And this is pretty incredible to me, actually. It's a combination of Borderlands 2 and Borderlands the pre-sequel, both with all of the DLC that they have, which is a lot of DLC. It is $59.99 on both consoles. It's coming out on March 24th. So the one question mark here for me, Brent, and I'm sorry, it includes the addition of something that apparently has never been available before, which I was not aware of, but you can play 4-player local co-op now. With the game, you've always
split screen,
right? You've always been able to play 4-player co-op online, which is the best way to play the game. I mean, I absolutely love the drop-in, drop-out co-op in this game. But now you can play it locally, which is going to be very cool for people that like to play that way. The only question mark for me on this, Brent, if if you haven't played Borderlands 2, it's an absolute no-brainer. I have not played Borderlands the pre-sequel. I played the hell out of Borderlands 2, and it's a fantastic game. The only question mark for me here is going to be the quality of the HD aspect of it, and not just how much work they put into it. We've seen, of course, and we've talked about on the show, Brent, the differing levels of HD updates of games,
HD remakes,
right? Yeah, from Sleeping Dogs to GTA 5, and the difference there in
they are not all created equal.
They are not, and it makes a big difference. I would be interested in playing Borderlands 2 if they did a lot of work on it, the level of GTA. I would play it again. Otherwise, I have no interest in playing it again, probably. And I mean, I put a lot of hours into it, and would only be buying the game for the pre-sequel. In which case, I'm not sure if I'd want to pay $60 for it because. I'm not all that interested in it. Now, I am interested in it, but I haven't been.
One thing that is worth noting, and I don't think that you said this. Correct me if.
Are you going to talk about the special edition?
No. I'll leave that for you.
Okay.
But I was going to talk about just very briefly that they say that you will be able to transfer your saves from PS3 to PS4, 360 to Xbox One, etc. If that matters to you, just be aware that is that's part of what you get if you go for the handsome edition.
Yeah, absolutely. Now,
or handsome collection.
The one other thing, Brent, that I think bears mentioning, and is, well, it's out of my price range, was very, very tempting, is they are releasing a special edition. Only 5,000 of them are being made. That includes, of course, the game and all of the content, as well as a remote-controlled claptrap. A working remote-controlled claptrap.
Not just a working remote control claptrap, but a working remote control claptrap that has a webcam eye and can actually spit one-liners from the game.
Yes, so that you control using your smartphone.
Right. So just, I mean, in the grand pantheon of paying for really, really pricey collector's editions, presumably. You're actually you might actually be getting your money's worth on this.
Well, we didn't say what the price was yet, Brent.
That's true. So how would you know? But it's I mean, go ahead and tell them. It's a lot.
It's hefty. It is $399.99. It is $400.
That's an expensive robot.
That is one expensive robot. But I have to be honest. For 1 second, I was like, "Oh God, a remote controlled claptrap!" One of my favorite video game characters of all time.
Well, and that's the sticking point that I was going to bring up, is the fact that, considering how controversial Claptrap is, in the sense that some people really like Claptrap and find the humor and everything really funny, and some people really hate Claptrap. I'm just saying that it was a bold choice to go with. I don't think there's going to be any middle ground when it comes to this collector's edition. You can love it, you can hate it. But there's no lukewarm on this.
Yeah, he is one of my favorite characters of all time. So it was tempting.
Right.
The only thing that might have been more tempting to me would be a remote control John Marston.
Give it time, Bo. Give it. I mean, the Japanese robotics. I mean, it's going to be there soon.
Could happen. All right. Next up, Brent, we're talking about the PlayStation exclusive live action television series. Entitled Powers, which they announced, was it 2 E3s ago when they revealed all the details of the PS4 that they announced Powers?
That sounds right.
I think it is.
It's been a couple years.
And I think it was supposed to be out a little earlier. Maybe it was delayed. I'm not 100% sure. But it is premiering March 10th. And I'm actually somewhat intrigued by the way they're premiering it, Brent. They're releasing 3 episodes simultaneously. those the first three episodes, will be available to any members of the PlayStation Network to watch, and then they will release a new episode every Tuesday after that for PlayStation Plus members only.
Correct.
My question to you, Brent, is sort of how you feel about this thing in general. Are you interested in this? Are you excited about it? Do you think it is a value add for PlayStation? Where do you stand right now on powers? That
remains to be seen.
Right.
It depends on the quality of the show and all that. But I do think it's an intriguing idea. Certainly, it's we've talked about Microsoft was making plans, although given the kind of shakeups and things that have happened since, I don't know like where all that stands. But Microsoft was talking about doing original TV content, as a value add for Xbox One and things like that. It certainly seems like Sony is probably in a better position to leverage this kind of content as a value add for the PSN service, given the fact that they have a highly insecure film studio under their umbrella. But I think that whether or not this really ends up becoming an incentive will largely depend on whether or not this series turns out to be any good. I'm all about good adaptations of comic book material, and Powers is based on a comic of the same name. As a matter of fact, they are also going to be giving away the first issue, which you can get through local comic stores as well as Comixology.com. What's the date on that? While I'm talking
on the comic book itself.
Yeah.
I believe it's either this week or next week.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I'm almost thinking it's like today or tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it might be by the time you listen to this show, it may have actually already happened. But in any case, the point though is that I think that conceptually there's a lot of good stuff happening here. But until we actually see the series, I won't be able to tell you if. I won't really be able to answer that question, but I hope that it's good. I hope that it does well for them, and it'll be kind of interesting to see if gamers' future purchasing decisions, vis-a-vis a Sony or Microsoft console, is influenced by there's this TV show that I really like, and I can only get it through PlayStation, so I guess I'm buying a PlayStation 4. I don't know. I don't know if it'll become that important to future console buying decisions for gamers. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
yeah, I don't know. I don't think at this point, Brent, that it will sway people to buy it. I think what it does right now, if it's a quality production, what I think it does right now is it's a value add for Sony. With the PlayStation Plus. I mean, the free games they give away. Is something that really sort of made you feel like your money was a little bit more well spent and worthwhile. But of
course, Microsoft is beginning to
absolutely
kind of offer their own. So
there's no question. But I'm saying it just adds to the value of what you're paying. And so right now, I think this one show isn't necessarily going to drive people to get a PlayStation or drive people to buy to buy PlayStation Plus. But if it works out for them and it's popular and they're making a quality production in the vein of what their audience likes to watch. You might see in the future 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 shows, and then you might actually, you might see people more inclined to actually pay for the service because they're getting a few shows that they really enjoy. So it'll be interesting. I'm excited for it. I like the premise. I like what they're doing. It's got a pedigreed production team, thank you, behind the show. And so I'm hopeful that it will be good. And if it's good, I'm certainly excited for the premise of what they're doing. So I look forward to seeing. I mean, obviously, I already pay for the service, and so it's one of those things that it's free. I don't have to do anything. But I'm looking very forward to on March 10th to checking out the first 3 episodes and see how the show does.
I agree. I was just sitting here thinking, how could Microsoft really answer this? And I mean, really, why doesn't Microsoft just go to HBO and give them a bunch of money and say, hey, how about you make a deal with us where Xbox Live Gold members get to watch Game of Thrones? Why does it have to be original in-house content? Why can't they just go find content that gamers are already watching, already paying for through other avenues, and make that a part of Xbox Live Gold? Why can't Microsoft do something like that to answer this?
Right. Yeah,
That's all I'm saying.
No, that's a very reasonable thought. So, staying in the Sony vein, Brent, and wrapping up our time hanging out here in the garage, I could not help. So, as you know, Game Informer is doing month-long coverage over on Uncharted 4: A Thief's End, which we all are assuming is going to come out this holiday. They've said it's going to come out this holiday, and I would assume they will stick to that, hopefully sometime in November, maybe a little earlier.
It'll suit me fine.
So Game Informer is doing a lot of coverage, their month-long coverage on this game, and the video that I've included in the doc this week is the designing of the new gameplay of Uncharted 4. It's a 5-minute interview talking with one of the design directors of the game. And I got to say, watching this, so I don't know if this had this impact on you, Brent, but he referenced at one point in the video, he said, just watching people take apart that 15-minute gameplay we showed, talking about how they, like, Nate pulls the trigger each time and all that stuff, caused me to go watch one of those breakdowns of that 15 minutes, and it was amazing, sort of, when you really watch the breakdown of all the areas in which they made improvement, and Brent, I mean, I try so hard, excuse me, I try so hard not to get overly hyped. We've been doing this for a long time. We play a lot of video games, and I try not to get sucked in. But part of the reason we have been doing this for so long is because I still do feel like a kid frequently when I get to play video games, and I get so excited about them. And this is one of those games, Brent, that I just am so excited for. And it looks like they have improved on nearly every aspect of the game every single time I watch it.
Yeah, I don't think that you're wrong. It certainly feels like, as opposed to just doing an HD, version of Uncharted on a new console, it seems like they are continuing to push and to try to innovate and iterate on what is, probably their most successful, certainly one of their most popular franchises. And I think that the thing is, as opposed to just kind of forking in, okay, like as an example, like if they'd have gone like Call of Duty Advanced Warfare and says, what the next Uncharted game needs? It needs Titanfall's jetpacks. Nathan Drake gets a Titanfall jetpack. Mm-hmm. If it had been that, or if it had been like, okay, now Nathan Drake needs parkour. Like that's what this game really needs, as opposed to bringing in elements that are popular in other games and kind of forking those into Uncharted, which, frankly, the longer a series goes on, I think the more you kind of expect the well to run dry and things like that to happen. I really like the fact that they're bringing in gameplay elements that really make sense for Uncharted, that seem to be really at home in this genre of adventure storytelling and adventure gameplay, things, like the grappling hook and stuff like that. Come on, like, what's an Indiana Jones movie if he doesn't swing from the bullwhip at some point, right?
Right.
So I feel like they've given me confidence right now, just in the details that they have released, the game mechanics they have shown off. I'm like, yeah, all of that feels like it ought to be in an Uncharted game. You look at that and say, oh, how has that not been there this whole time? So I'm very optimistic about that. But then the other thing that does give me confidence in where they're going, and where I do have to kind of rein in my excitement, is what he was talking about towards the end of this interview, where he was saying, and the thing is that, people don't realize we're not showing off like our best level of the game here. Like he describes this level as a real meat and potatoes part of the game. This is, just kind of the core gameplay aspects. And what they're inferring is that you're not seeing one of the best levels from this video game. You're seeing, maybe a throwaway part of this game, and that the set piece moments are going to be even more amazing than this. And, that's where I'm just like, okay, this could be really good. This can be really good. And you got to kind of hang on to it a little bit, because you can lose your shit real easy that way.
Yeah.
So the point is, well, I'm excited. As
yeah. Well. He pointed, like you said, Brent, he pointed out that typically, historically, they have shown these big set piece moments, and they show in Uncharted 3 the part on the ship and all that, and that this is just a sort of regular part of the game. And I agree with you. My immediate reaction to that was, oh God, that was my reaction.
I'm really glad I couldn't see you making that face. Welcome back to the Clubhouse, guys. We're going to kick off this week's topic, but before we do that, let's revisit the poll results from last week's show, which, of course, we were running down some of the more game-centric bits of news coming out of CES 2015. Lauren, tell us about the poll results.
Yeah, so the question that Brent posed to all of the Outlaws to answer this last week was, which of Brent and Lauren's CES 2015 picks were you most excited by? And Brent gave you 4 choices, including Samsung Milk VR, which I would like to point out with great delight was last.
Unsurprisingly,
came in last.
4th place.
That's
yes.
right. So running down the way the answers shook out this week, we will go from last to first as we usually do. And coming in 4th place with 6% was Samsung Milk VR, as we mentioned. Coming in with 15%. In 3rd place was the Razer OS VR, which is Razer's DevKit VR.
Open source.
Yeah, open source headset. It's with 20% Razer Forge TV. And coming in 1st place was the NVIDIA Tegra X1, which looks to be bringing just more sheer power to the masses.
Which we're all about. We'll take all the fucking gaming horsepower we can get.
That's right. We will take all the gaming horsepower we can get. So that's how it shook out last week, Brent. A lot of stuff came out of CES 2013. We are rounding that sort of beginning of the first year corner and moving into GDC and ultimately into E3 coming up here in not too long. And so I'm sure we're going to be hearing a lot more about more stuff that's coming out this year.
You're not kidding.
And in that vein, Brent, that can kind of lead us into our topic this week, which is about games coming out this year. Why don't you set us up, Brent, with this disturbing topic?
Well, in the in the shenanigans yet again section of the show, we're going to talk about.
We seem to keep coming back to this.
You know, it's interesting the way that it just keeps happening, isn't it?
Yes.
As many of you are aware, Sony Online Entertainment has dropped an early access. I don't know if they're calling it. I don't think it's a beta. I think this is actually still considered an alpha because I think the beta is going to be published.
Well, yeah.
But anyway,
it's early access, which is not.
They have early access, a paid early access for the upcoming zombie MMO H1Z1, and After months of talking about the business model for the game, the fact that the full version of the game, although the paid early access version is, as we indicated from the fact that it's a paid early access, it's paid. You pay to play the early access version of this game.
For a free-to-play
The final
game.
version is going to be free, which, like, right off the bat, seems a little incongruent to me, but, that's fine. People can spend their money on whatever they want. But aside from that, for now, Sony Online Entertainment President John Smedley has
Smedley.
kind of
Even his name sounds dubious.
Even his name sounds like he should be a villain on Rocky and Bullwinkle. Smedley has been the face of the game. He's been pushing it, and throughout the kind of the back and forth with the community, there's a subthread on Reddit that is particularly emblematic of this. Smedley has pledged that this game would be free to play, it would be financed by microtransactions, but it would not be pay to win. And on said Reddit subthread, Smedley outlined where they thought they were going to make money on the game, and he goes into things like clothing, items that you can buy that will not be lootable. Well, he didn't say they won't be lootable. But only that they can't be taken away from you. Like if you get killed by another player, you'll still have that black ski mask that you paid real money for. Whatever. Mm-hmm. But customizations, crafting recipes for clothing, things like that. But basically, character appearance customizations were the main things that he was talking about, and he was very specific more than one time that you were not going to be able to pay for weapons or for ammo crates or anything like that would or buffs, anything that would advance your ability to get ahead in the game through microtransactions. So then the paid alpha comes out, and lo and behold, what do they have? They have microtransactions for airdrop crates, which have, what do you know, weapons and ammo in them. The exact thing that they said they weren't going to do, they did. And so basically a couple of things have happened since then. Number one, Sony Online Entertainment has started offering refunds for anybody who has a problem with the microtransaction airdrop situation. Mm-hmm. They've offered no questions asked, full refunds, which is certainly the right thing to do. But what they haven't really done is given much of an explanation on what changed, other than we changed our minds. It's like, okay, so you promised multiple times that this wasn't going to, that this was, you weren't going to do this, but then you changed your mind. So I'm glad that we found out, just how much a promise from Sony Online Entertainment means, which is to say, dick. But all that aside, the title of the article that we're pulling from to put in the show notes today is from Forbes. It's written by Eric Kane, and it says, Sony's no questions asked H1Z1 refunds don't go far enough. And I think that is an excellent jumping off point for this conversation, because I agree with him. And Lauren, I'd like to turn it over to you and find out if you do as well. What do you think about the controversy and about Sony's response?
Well, so I don't even know where to begin with this, Brent. I mean, so you mentioned,
just grab a fork and dive in,
Jesus. Buddy. So you one thing you didn't mention specifically is you talked about how they didn't really offer up an explanation as to why they changed their mind. They acknowledged that they changed their mind, and they said that they understand why people would be upset by that. They didn't explain why they changed their mind, but they did.
Yeah, you think?
They did offer this, which is another just weird twist to this, is they said, well, we understand that we said it wasn't going to be pay to win, and we said that you couldn't buy with real money guns and survive food and things that would make you help you survive. But in order to combat that, since we changed our mind, what we've done is we've the airdrops, which again you pay for with real money, are highly contestable, is what they said.
Right. So like you can pay real money for your airdrop, but it could be so hard to get to because it's going to draw other players and zombies that you could pay for an airdrop and you might not get a damn thing out of it.
Right. Somebody might actually kill you.
And that's supposed to make it better.
Right. And I just don't understand that, because my immediate reaction to that is I would be just absolutely...
I'd be furious.
Furious if I paid real money, $4.99 for an airdrop, and someone shot me and took my airdrop before I ever got to it. And then somebody, the author of this article points out, or of one of the articles linked in this article, points out that so what you have is once somebody gets a weapon, and then other people are now calling in airdrops to try and get weapons, the people with the weapons are going... So what happens is the airdrops come in, but it lights up the landing area, so people all around you can see that there's an incoming airdrop. Well, the people that have all the gear are going to come and that have, if you've spawned with just an axe, you decide to spend money to try and get yourself a weapon or whatever you can get. You order in this airdrop, and guys with guns and body armor are going to come and shoot you and take your airdrop and have what you have, and it's going to be this this cycle, right? And it's just like nothing about this.
You think people are asking for refunds now? Just wait until that fucking happens.
Nothing about this makes sense to me, Brent. And I don't understand. Like, I understand that they need to come up with a business model whereby they can make money, but I feel like they didn't really think it through.
Model. How about you sell me a game
and I pay
you for the game and then I play your game?
Yeah, I'm baffled all the way around, and they have gotten a little bit defensive about it, which is understandable. I'm sure the vitriol they received was
substantial,
and substantially probably not equivalent to
let's say it wasn't all that constructive.
That's a guess. I mean, I haven't gone in the forums and read all this stuff, but that would be my guess. But so I can understand that, but at the same time, they fundamentally, like the whole, like you said, people are paying for early access, despite the fact that the final product will be a free to play game. I'm sure I would assume what they're getting for their money is airdrops, right? Because I'm assuming that when you give money to them, airdrops is what you will get. But the airdrops is a complete turnaround, and how they work makes no sort of intuitive common sense whatsoever. And it just feels so poorly thought out, in my opinion, that I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked. But it's Brent, I feel like our industry is floundering to figure out how to do business, and I'm frankly not 100% sure why. I mean, I do work for a developer. I am on a development team. We're doing something that most companies don't do right now, in that we sold the game. We are supporting and putting out major updates for months and months on end, and then we will put out another update at some point that we will charge a nominal fee for, like a $9.99, and that's not an official announcement. It's just a guess. It'll be the kind of thing where if that's something you want in the game, you can buy it, and if you don't, you can just have the regular game or whatever. But we're still giving support.
Can I pay your company a nominal fee to make the holes that you shoot the golf balls in the size of a lake? Can I do that?
You cannot do that. No, sir.
It makes no sense to me. I mean, like, and you know me, like, I'm not, like, I'm not, like, oh, fuck microtransactions or fuck free to play. I'm open to it. If there's a good fit for it with a game, I'm totally fine with it. The fucking Star Wars Commander, the game I talk about every fucking week, is microtransaction free to play. And I got no issue with that. I'm not against this business model, but I mean, this implementation, this strategy is so profoundly, catastrophically, galactically stupid that I struggle to understand how a company that has done okay in the games industry decided to roll with it. I really find it inexplicable.
Well, like I said, Brent, I think it's sort of part and parcel of the fact that I think the whole industry is floundering and trying what I think is just super, super consumer averse practices. We saw this also this week. There's a great video that one of our listeners posted from the Jimquisition, Jim Sterling, which it's like a 9-minute video titled "How Evolve Fell Down the Bullshit Tree." And it basically talks about, Evolve released their beta this week. And I'll talk a little bit about that when we get when we hit the road, because I did play it a little bit. But essentially, that guy made a comment at some point, like the DLC and pre-order shit around that game is more extreme than almost any game I've ever seen. And that guy, one of the guys from Turtle Rock commented about essentially how I actually think he used the phrase, Evolve is a game that has been designed to support DLC better than any other game previously released. Thinking that what he was saying was something that gamers would like to hear.
That's right.
I feel like at
this
point,
school has been designed to make it easier for mass shooters to get in and kill as many students and teachers as possible before they commit suicide themselves. It's like, what?
I just don't like. I think they think.
And yes, I just compared DLC to a school shooting. Yes, I did.
I don't know if that might be a little extreme. That might be the kind of feedback that.
Oh, come on! Like, this is not a show that pedals in hyperbole like that.
No, not at all. I really think that they've lost touch with the gamers so much, Brent, that they actually think that this is something a gamer wants to hear. And I think they think it because they make money on DLC. They think that it's something that gamers want. And I really think that they have lost touch with what gamers want. I think that the difference between what gamers want and what gamers will pay for is two different things. And they're now starting to speak in marketing terms, like this game is designed to support DLC better than any other game. So great, I can buy 5 more hunter classes and 6 more behemoths, and if I don't, I feel like I'm missing content. And I mean, it's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. Go ahead.
It is, and I tell you, one thing that I want to say, I really think that Jim Sterling made a good point on this, in the Jimquisition video that we're linking to. I think he makes a great parallel comparison with basically everything else that's going on in entertainment right now, and the fact that everything else is moving to a more simplified business model, a business model based around convenience. He talks about the fact, which I bemoan, I'm not really happy about, the fact that, that people aren't buying Blu-rays with, really in-depth special features and director's commentary and deleted scenes. I love that stuff. I eat that up. And people aren't really going for it. What they're doing is they're, getting out their smartphone or they're getting on their computer and they're clicking the buy button and then downloading it or streaming it. Why? Because it's convenient. It's easy. As he puts it, you press the button, you get the thing. So much else about entertainment or entertainment media is moving in that direction, and gaming is complicating the transaction with pre-order DLC, with content exclusives at different retailers, content exclusives on different platforms, and on and on and on. Everybody else is going more convenient and reaping the rewards of it, and gaming is going more complicated and pissing off their market.
Yeah, I truly don't get it, Brent. And at some point, I guess, at some point, we go back to this speaking with your wallet sort of thing, but again, it just goes back to that idea that I think that the publishers and potentially developers are losing touch with their audience, and it's unfortunate. Which
there's no excuse for. There's no excuse for. In an era when you can literally talk directly with the people who are buying your product, playing your game, there's no excuse to be losing touch with your fan base. The only reason that it can happen is if you choose for it to happen by not listening to them, or by, like Sony, making decisions that they have specifically told you they don't want you to.
Again, I'm just baffled by this, and I'm curious to know. I'm curious to know if any of our listeners participated in the H1Z1. I guess I didn't ask you this, Brent, but I'm assuming you did not.
I did not, but I really had to think about it, because I really like H1Z1. I really like.
To be honest with you, I'm a little I'm a little confused as to what this game offers that DayZ doesn't.
I think that I feel like it'll be a really, really DayZ-like experience, but maybe one that's actually going to be finished and complete and polished. This year, as an example,
right? Yeah.
Whereas the actual DayZ standalone game, who knows?
Yeah. No, I was just curious because it just as I was watching, this has nothing to do with obviously the conversation we were having, but as I was watching it, it just. It just looks so much like a copy of DayZ.
Oh, no. It looks exactly fucking like DayZ, which is why I'd like it to, to be a good game. But
sure, of course. So I'm curious to know if any of our listeners have participated in the early access for H1Z1, and if you did, what your experience is, and a firsthand account of the airdrops and that sort of thing, or if people, how you feel about, Evolve's DLC and the game being built for DLC, and obviously, in general, what you guys think about sort of the direction that games have been heading for a long time and don't seem to be slowing down and going that direction with season passes and DLC and microtransactions and that sort of thing. Again, want to hear what your guys' opinions are of this. I should probably not taint it by saying this, but disturbing trend.
You just tainted it.
You just wanted to say taint again.
You tainted all over it. I have this disturbing image of you trying to get your hand up under. Never mind.
Jesus, stop saying the word taint.
Welcome back. We're hitting the road, and we're going to run through the games that we've been playing this week. We're going to start off with Lauren, who is still plowing through Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I was out of town last week, and so I didn't get much playtime. But this is going to be a long-running thing, I believe. I know many people who finished the game somewhere around.
I anticipate you'll have some time invested.
A lot of people I know finished the game, around 70 to 100 hours. But right. I did play it. I came back from my vacation in beautiful Rio de Janeiro, which is one of the most amazing cities in the world. If you ever get a chance to go there, I highly, highly recommend it.
Yep.
I did come back, and one of the first things I wanted to do was play Dragon Age Inquisition, and I did for about an hour and a half when I got home. And I just continue to have fun, Brent. I just continue to get sucked in, and very much along the lines of Red Dead Redemption, I find myself gathering flora and fauna for 30 minutes and totally loving it, and then going on a story mission and loving it, and then doing a side mission where I'm making sure I get all the camps set up in a certain area, and it just is really flowing nicely. The pacing, it's flowing nicely between the different aspects of the game, and I feel like it's naturally taking me from exploration to combat to side missions to story. I mean, it just kind of seems to be happening very elegantly, and the acting is good and the story is good, and so I continue to enjoy it, and I'm sure you will continue to hear about it for many weeks to come.
That suits me. I was actually I was emailing with my friend Tabitha. She's a big Dragon Age fan. She was really looking forward to Inquisition, and she was kind of I was just kind of sharing, some of the things that you were saying on the show, and she was kind of like, yeah, I kind of agree with that. That wasn't exactly my experience, but it's been interesting to see actually how well the game seems to be doing. I mean, more often than not, all the things that I read about it have been very, very good.
Yeah, I'm absolutely enjoying it, man.
So what about Evolve? I see that that's in here. Have you been checking out the beta?
Yeah, so I finally, I was invited to the alpha on 2 platforms, and I didn't actually participate in it. And so, again, I got the invitation for this beta this weekend, and when I got back from Rio, I immediately downloaded it and started playing it. And I got to be honest, man, I played it for about 25 minutes, and I deleted it.
Really?
Yeah, it just wasn't that fun to me. I don't know. I mean, I walked through the tutorials, and I don't know. It wasn't doing it for me. I didn't find the gameplay on either side compelling. I never played it multiplayer, which is, of course, the entire game is designed to be played that way.
Yeah.
But I do understand. I've done some reading where I've read that if you're playing with people that don't really understand the nature of the teamwork in it, it can be very, very frustrating. But I don't know. After about a half hour, maybe 45 minutes, I just felt like there wasn't anything there for me. And subsequently, I saw all the information about the DLC, which I didn't know at the point when I played it. And it made it just even that much less interesting to me. And I'm not sure at this point, Brent, what would possibly... I think the only thing that would convince me to pick this game up is if the group of guys that I was gaming with online, who I haven't been since I've been in Brazil, but... if they were to pick it up and we're just completely into it, and like tried to convince me to buy it, I think that might get me to buy it. But otherwise, I don't see anything that would convince me to buy this game. I have tons of other games. Titanfall is a brilliant multiplayer game that I could still play for another tons of hours. I just don't see what would get me to buy this game at this point. I really didn't enjoy it.
That's a pretty frank evaluation of it. I mean,
it's just the truth. I
was not expecting it to go that way. I guess I was. Despite all the kind of the DLC shenanigans and everything, at the core, I always thought like the core gameplay seemed really solid and cool.
Yeah, it just I don't know. There was just something about it that just didn't. I don't know, man. There was something about it that just didn't sit right with me, and they say you only get one chance at a first impression, and there's too much other stuff out there right now. If there was nothing else, I might have invested more time, but yeah. I got 5 just amazing games on my PS4 right now to play, and so I gave it 45 minutes or so, and it wasn't there for me, and that's about it. I mean, that's really all I have to say on it. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, for my own part, I don't have a lot of new stuff. My baby girl Zeely is turning 1 year old. As a matter of fact, today.
Oh, happy birthday, Zeely!
And as you can probably imagine, we're doing a big first birthday party, friends, family coming over, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And consequently, we've been working all week trying to get the house cleaned up and kind of make preparations and all of the stuff that is going into this party. So it's not left me a ton of time for gaming. I did invest a little bit of time in Star Wars Commander because they ran another one of their PvP tournaments this past week, which was cool because as I talked about in the past, the way they're doing these tournaments and stuff now is you'll get like event points that you can spend on vehicle upgrades, but the specific vehicle that I was looking to upgrade has not been part of the last two rewards tiers that they've done in these tournaments, and the specific vehicle that I wanted to upgrade was finally back in the rotation. So I made sure and clock some time so I could upgrade that, bump it up to level 6. Other than that, though, the tournament was pretty straightforward. I really got in on it. Like the first day, I was playing like 3 times an hour. I mean, I was just like I was just hammering it, and I managed to get myself into the top 0.8% that first day. But I wasn't able to maintain that because I just couldn't play that often over the entire 4-day period, and so I slowly dropped back to 3%. Which I was kind of like, I'd kind of said to myself, like, it'd be really cool to finish in the top tier, which is the top 2%. It'd be really cool to get there, but I could not. I just did not have enough time to play it. I could not sit there and maintain that pace, so it didn't happen. Right. The other thing that I did, again, talking about my friend Tabitha, I was telling her about this war of mine, and she'd been saying, "Oh yeah, I've been hearing really good things about it." I'm like, "Man, it's really really good. I really really think you should check it out. It's fantastic. It's coming to iOS. It's going to be amazing. When this thing comes out on phone and tablet, and just all the kind of talking about it made me want to come back to it. So I went back and I picked up the game that I had been playing, and I had forgotten that the last thing that had happened is one of the 3 guys that I'd started the game with, and I'd picked up a couple of other characters, people that had asked to come and live at the house, and that I had allowed to come in. So I had a little bit bigger roster than the 3 I'd started with. But one of the original 3 guys who was living in the house died during a raid. Like somebody broke in the middle of the night and tried to take stuff, and this guy died in the course of that happening. And I had stopped playing the game right after that, so I came back to it and I was like, "Oh, this fucking blows! I forgot all about this." So I just went ahead and restarted and just started up a new game. And man, I can't thank you enough for introducing me to it, but also you just really going out of your way to try to get me to play it, because I'm telling you what, man, it's been one of the most simultaneously profound and fun game experiences that I've had. I mean, there's a lot of games that I've played that are very profound, but that I wouldn't necessarily want to play again. Like To the Moon would be a good example. To the Moon was a really, really profound game experience, but the gameplay itself was not compelling enough that I think about going back and playing it, And this is one of those games that the gameplay itself is so enjoyable that it brings me back to it, despite the fact that the subject matter is quite somber, and but it's just a really, really fantastic game. And I predict that when this thing comes out on mobile platforms, I think it's pretty much going to be the game to beat as far as best mobile title of the year contender. I can't think of anything else that would even be able to touch this War of Mine. It's really a great game.
It is. It's a truly, truly incredible game, and on so many levels. And I'm just so thrilled. I forgot I haven't played that game in a while, and I'm thrilled to hear that you're still playing it, and I would love to still be playing it myself.
Yep, it's worth going back to.
This goes back to that. This goes back to what I said about there just being so much out there right now that I think. I think if a game doesn't strike me, there's just not going to be time for it. So, one of the other things, Brent, that there's 2 PS4 PS Plus free games this month. One of them is the Swapper, which I didn't play, but I've played before, and is a fantastic game. If 2D sort of 2D side scrolling platformer, basically. with a really interesting mechanic, and so I highly recommend people download that if you haven't played it. But what I did download and started playing, and I put about 30 or 40 minutes into this, was the expansion / DLC for Infamous First Light, which is a standalone expansion to Infamous Second Son that focuses on Fetch, one of the characters from the original game whose power is the neon power in the game. And I've only played, like I said, about 30 or 40 minutes, but I gotta say, I'm really enjoying it, and it was really nice. Infamous was the first game I played on the PS4, the Infamous Second Son, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good game. I played it to its to completion. But I wasn't blown away by it. It's nice, however, to return to that world, and after having played other games on the PS4, to come back into this game, and it looks so good and plays really well. And I'm very pleased to have had an opportunity. This is another example of an excellent opportunity to try something that I probably wasn't ready to pull the trigger on purchasing, but it became one of the PS Plus games for the month, and I'm really enjoying it so far. So like I said, only about 40 minutes into it. I have no idea how long it is. It might be 2 hours. It might be 8 hours. I don't have a clue. But so far I'm enjoying it.
You know, one of the other PSN Plus games that's free is DuckTales Remastered on PlayStation 3. Which I bought, but I haven't had a chance to play it. But if you played the original DuckTales on the NES, and it was an amazing game on the NES, I have been very excited about playing DuckTales Remastered. I just haven't done it yet. But it's free if you've got PSN. So
this is not a joke, right?
No, I am absolutely serious. I guess you never played the original DuckTales, did you?
I did not.
It's a good game. It was one of the most fun platformers of that era. It was a really well regarded platformer back for the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Oh, well, there you go. All right. And with that, Brent, I believe we've reached the end of the episode. We're going to wrap it up with DuckTales. Listen,
you're laughing like that's funny, but I'm telling you, that's legit. That game is legit.
I believe you, and
the Outlaws will back me up on this.
I have a feeling we're going to get. I was going to say some Outlaws to back you up. So, with that, Brett, we are going to reach into the show as usual. This is, as you know, the part of the show where we turn it over to our audience to tell us what they think about everything we've talked about on the episode this week. Whether it's Infamous First Light, DuckTales, the Swapper, This War of Mine, Star Wars Commander, Evolve, Dragon Age Inquisition.
You know what? Fuck you, Lauren.
Up in the clubhouse, we talked about the state of the industry relative to DLC pre-orders and a little bit of flip-flopping from Sony on H1Z1, and as well as Jim Sterling's video on Evolve. And then when we were hanging out in the garage, Brent, we talked about a few pieces of news and a few trailers. We talked about designing the new gameplay of Uncharted 4, the premiere of the Powers series on PlayStation Network, Borderlands: The Handsome Collection coming out in March, Ernie Klein's second Ready Player One novel, and Armada, or maybe the same thing, we don't know, but the fact that Ernie Klein is back in the news and looks to be writing some more content is always a good thing. So let us know what you think about those subjects or anything else that's related to the world of gaming. We always want to know what you guys think, as we are here for you, not for ourselves. Just kidding. Brent likes to hear himself talk.
It's true. I won't deny it.
Let us know what your thoughts are on this, our third episode of Outlaw Gamer Radio. As usual, he is Brent Adams. I am Lauren Baumgarten. And remember, you don't stop playing because you get old. You get old because you stop playing.